Thank you, Speaker. My question is for the Solicitor General. Speaker, earlier the Premier answered a question from the Leader of the Opposition saying he acknowledges that anti-black racism exists in Ontario after not answering the same question yesterday. And after centuries of anti-black racism, anti-Indigenous racism, and racism against people of color, I think all of us who were born into privilege need to answer the question about institutionalized and systemic anti-black racism in Ontario. So I was happy to see the Premier answer that. But I asked the Solicitor General, Speaker, what specific actions is the government going to take to combat systemic and institutional anti-black racism, anti-Indigenous racism, and racism against people of color in Ontario?
The Solicitor General.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you for the question. I think this is an important conversation for all of us to have, and there are many examples of systemic racism across Ontario. But in answer to your specific question about examples of what we have been doing, under the leadership of the Ontario Anti-Racism Directorate, we have developed regulations under the new police legislation, the Comprehensive Ontario Police Services Act. We have developed a cutting-edge applied learning program to equip members of the Ontario Public Service with anti-racism knowledge, skills, and tools needed to build a public service that is more inclusive, equitable, and responsive. We're supporting the Ministry of Health with developing their approach to collecting race-based data in the healthcare sector. The Anti-Racism Directorate is providing guidance and support to organizations in the education, justice, and child welfare sectors to implement the collection of race-based data. Thank you.
The supplementary question.
Thank you, Speaker. I appreciate the Solicitor General's response. I'll say that the Anti-Racism Act, when it was passed, it established 4 commitments for the government: to establish a 3-year anti-racism strategy, to implement the collection of race-based data across all ministries. It's important in health, but across all ministries, to organize and conduct ongoing public consultations to provide the public with reporting, and to create an anti-racism campaign for our education system. Speaker, will the government today commit to fully funding the Anti-Racism Directorate and to fully implementing all 4 of the commitments in the Anti-Racism Act?
Solicitor General again.
Thank you, Speaker. So, to be clear and to repeat, our government has zero tolerance for racism, hate, or discrimination in all of its many forms. There has been zero change to the budget of the Anti-Racism Directorate, and our government has been clear in our support for the ARD and its important mandate. The Anti-Racism Directorate, to your point, is leading strategic initiatives to advance anti-racism work across government with a plan, including through the 3-year anti-racism strategy, and including the issues that I've already spoke about and that they're already working on. They are also working to identify and address racial barriers in the recruitment of correctional officers. The Anti-Racism Directorate, Speaker, is doing excellent work, and I would hope that with the cooperation of all members of the House, we can continue that important work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question, the member